Hi guys, welcome back. Squiddy here again. Another compression of depression video for you. So if you saw my previous video, it was basically an introduction to the channel. What I'm trying to achieve with these videos, basically, which was just helping others who are going through anxiety, going through depression, and trying to use my experiences, past and present, to try and help people with it, give them sort of tips and advice of what's helped me. And one of the big things that I mentioned was taking that first step, which is kind of opening up about it, speaking to someone maybe, or just sort of explaining to others that you are having these sort of negative feelings and things like that. And I remember when I first did it, as I said, was probably about 14, 15 months ago. I went on Facebook and just put a big post basically explaining why I was unhappy, what I was feeling down about. And then probably about a week after this, I put a video kind of like this, um, just how I was feeling, what was getting me down. And I did a video to try and give a bit of emotion to it, because sometimes if you just read writing, which like sometimes in text messages, if you just read the message, you can't really gauge if people are happy, unhappy, or sad about it, because it's just words. So I feel sometimes with a video it felt a bit better, because it's not the easiest thing in the world talking to someone face to face. Sometimes when you're recording a video, because you're not really talking to someone direct or face to face, it's a bit easier because you don't necessarily feel the pressure or feel like you're going to upset them maybe. But as I said, with the video, basically what was I was upset at the time, and sometimes had negative feelings too still, was I was a bit ashamed of myself, because I wasn't necessarily achieving what others had achieved. So I wasn't in a place of my own, having my own house or flat. I'm still living with parents at the minute, which isn't necessarily a big deal. Um, I've got debts that I was struggling to clear. Um, Seeing a lot of people traveling the world, and I hadn't really done much of that. I think a big thing with this, comparing yourself to people, it's like nowadays a lot of people know that depression is very widespread at the moment, and I think a big reason for this is social media. So a lot of times with social media, people aren't going to put negative things that have happened to them. They're not going to put, "Oh my God, I've just ended it with a boyfriend or girlfriend," or "Oh, I've just been fired." You'll always see positive things like, "Oh, I've just got a new job. Oh, I've just moved into a house," and things like this. And I think a lot of people see that and then will compare their own lives to it, kind of thinking, "Oh, I haven't got to that point yet." And they kind of, it's almost as if they're thinking like life has a specific timeline and they've got to reach a certain age to get to these places. So I've heard people I know sort of saying, "Oh, I want to have kids before I'm 30, or I want to be in a place of my own by the time I'm 25." And I kind of was having these feelings myself. So I was a bit sort of ashamed of myself that I hadn't got to those certain places or hadn't achieved certain things that others had. And it was just, problem was I was thinking too much about maybe what others think. And I think the thing you need to realize is, and you sort of see it as you get older, you realize who is important in your life, who is a true friend. And people don't necessarily say things to you or worry about what you're doing. So just a different subject here. In my like late teens, early 20s, like a lot of people, obviously you go out pubs, town, nightclubs, things like this, and obviously getting drunk, dancing like an idiot. There were some days where we'd do fancy dress. I mean, I've been dressed out as Ronald McDonald, Santa, and things like this, and still dancing like an idiot. But people that you don't know there don't come up to you and go, "Oh yeah, mate, you look like an idiot." The only way that they talk about you is they'll just whisper like this to their mates, and maybe, "Oh yeah, look at him," and whatever. Whereas the friends that you're with think it's hilarious, think you're a really good laugh, and you're putting a big spin on it. People think things but won't say things to you. So it doesn't matter if you haven't necessarily got your own place, or you haven't been traveling, or haven't necessarily got to where others are. I mean, there's plenty of time for it. Like I've said, I've never left Europe when it comes to traveling. I didn't go to uni, so I didn't do like all the traveling or year out like a lot of people do, having gap years. But the thing is, I mean, I'm 27 at the minute. People live into their 80s, 90s. There's years ahead that will give me time to do that. It's not like, oh, once you're 30, that's it, you can't do it. So it's like, the reason I've called this video Life's Timeline to Depression is I think there's just too many people out there thinking that life has specific timetables and certain ages that you need to get to accomplish things. And that just really isn't the case. And as we're saying here, you shouldn't really be worrying about what others have done that you haven't. Look at what you have achieved. It's like, as I said, I haven't bought a house of my own, but a lot of people say to me, at least you've taken other steps in things. So when I first left school, I went to college, became a carpenter. I was a carpenter for 5 years, and then wanted to turn a hobby into a career because I just wasn't enjoying the carpentry. So I looked into studying and becoming a PT, personal trainer. And I accomplished that. I was a personal trainer for 3 years. Unfortunately, I did finish being a personal trainer because it just wasn't sustaining me. It wasn't. I just wasn't making enough. But a lot of people will say to me, "At least you took that chance. You took that positive step into doing a career that you want to do." And it's like, I know people who have got their own house, but they can't necessarily drive. But the fact is, they've got their own place. Some people who they're married, but aren't necessarily in a job that they like, but they focus on being married because that's the positive thing. So basically, the bits of advice from this video is, don't think there's a timeline or certain ages you have to be at to accomplish certain things. Don't worry about what people are thinking of you, because most people aren't going to be putting you down and saying you're not as good as them. The important people are friends and family who will be there supporting you, giving you the help that you need, and basically trying to be as positive as possible. So don't be comparing yourselves to what others have done. Look at what you've done. Don't think about the negatives that you might not have achieved or things that you haven't done. Look at the good things that you are doing, what you can do in the future. So, as we're saying with this, don't think there's a timeline with life, because it's not. There isn't one, basically. When you achieve things, that's when you achieve it. The important thing is that you will achieve it if you keep going with it. So basically, just keep on doing what you're doing. Try and stay as positive as you can. Don't worry about what others are doing, because the big thing is yes, they might be posting stuff about, here's my new job, look, I've just got married, but you can't gauge what's going on out in someone else's life. There might be someone who's a millionaire who's got a mansion and stuff, but they might be upset that people don't really treat them as a true friend because they only like them for their money. So as we said, you can't always gauge what's going on in someone's life. Just because they put positive things on social media doesn't mean that they might be necessarily happy in other aspects of their life. You can't always gauge what's going on in someone's life. So basically, don't look at a timeline or specific events that you need to achieve at certain times. Just keep on living, doing what you're doing, and focusing on what you want to achieve to get that overall happiness. So I hope you like this video. Like it, subscribe to it, share it. As I say, I'll be doing more videos when I can, and hopefully I'll see you again. Cheers, guys.